As a fifth grader in Detroit, Benjamin Carson was considered the dumbest kid in the class and was the brunt of many jokes. That didn't seem to bother him, as all he cared about was playing softball and catching his favorite TV shows. And when his mother saw one of his report cards, he could see that she was upset about his grades. "What's this grade in reading?" she asked of him. He knew that she knew he didn't do so well in math, and feeling like the dumbest kid in the class, he didn't much care about her reaction to his reading grade. "Oh yeah, but you know, it doesn't mean much," he said. "No, that's not true, Benny. It means a lot. Education is the only way you're ever going to escape poverty. It's the only way you're going to get ahead in life and be successful. Do you understand that?" Benny did, reluctantly. Mrs. Carson raised both Benny and his brother Curtis herself. Even though she had only a third-grade education, she knew the value of what she hadn't gotten. She could see that her boys were bright, but were not living up to their potential. She wanted her sons to have opportunities she never had. She had to devise a plan, and she did. Since she worked long hours, Mrs. Carson often didn't return home until the boys were in bed. 2 days after the report cards arrived home, she left work early to check on her boys. And there they were, as she expected, lounging in front of the TV. "Boys, you spend too much time in front of that television. You do not get an education from staring at television all the time. From now on, you will not watch television, except for 2 pre-selected programs a week." "Just 2 programs? That's not," Benny said. "Yes, and only after you have done your homework. Furthermore, you will not play outside after school either, until you have done all your homework." "But Mother," "This is what we are going to do. I've asked God for wisdom, and this is the answer I got." Ben tried to offer several arguments, but Mrs. Carson stood firm. Even Curtis did not try to change his mother's mind. "And that's not all," Mrs. Carson said. "In addition to doing your homework, you have to read 2 books from the library every week. Every single week. And when you're finished reading them, you must write me a book report just like you do at school." "Yes, Mother," Benny said. It didn't occur to him to disobey his mother, but he certainly didn't like the new arrangement. After school the next day, Benny and Curtis went to the library. Neither one of them had any idea how to use the library or even check out a book, but they soon found the library staff helpful and friendly. Soon, Ben was checking out and reading all sorts of books on his favorite subject, animals. After a month or so, the boys were all pros at finding books to read. After reading all the animal books he could find, he moved on to plants, minerals, and rocks. As he read more about rocks, he would go out and look for different kinds of rocks along the railroad tracks in his neighborhood. He had learned how to identify them and became somewhat of a pest about it to his older brother. According to Ben, 2 events occurred in the latter part of 5th grade that convinced him of the importance of reading books. The first was during a spelling bee when the smartest kid in the class was unable to spell the word agriculture. Benny was listening silently, thinking to himself, "I can spell that word." He had read it just days before. The second event happened in science class. His class was learning about volcanoes. The teacher held up a shiny black rock and asked the class if anyone knew what he had. None of his classmates raised their hands. Ben raised his. "Yes, Benjamin," the teacher said. With the other children laughing around him, Benny gave his answer. "It's an obsidian." "That's right," the teacher said, trying not to look startled. but obviously expecting an incorrect answer. Ben went on to give the class all the information he knew about obsidian and volcanoes. "You're absolutely correct. That is wonderful. Class, this is a tremendous piece of information Benjamin has just given us. I'm very proud to hear him say this." For the next few days, Ben felt like a hero at school. The jokes about him stopped, and kids started listening to him. He had learned to enjoy reading, but until that time, he hadn't connected the reading his mother required of him with his schoolwork and the knowledge he had acquired. He started thinking that if he had learned so much about obsidian by reading, why couldn't he learn about social studies, geography, math, or science? During the 6th grade, Benjamin Carson moved to the top of his class. Today, he is a world-famous surgeon at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Maryland.